So the chief have a nice birthday?
You know, she went, we were just talking about, she went dark after, she smiled and said thank you for the
orchid plant.
And the donuts.
We had a whole celebration for her, and she was in Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
Did we get any feedback from her on meeting with Obama?
Oh, she did, I don't think they actually, no, they did not see the president. They did not.
Whoa.
No, it wasn't,
advertising.
no. She was not expecting that he would actually.
Well, I was.
But, yeah, I think in general, she was really pleased to have been a part of that. I think that it was one of the first installments of this 21st century policing initiative, and that they will bring small groups of police chiefs in.
Well, I'm very interested in the roster of who was invited last week.
Yes.
Because that's, you know, for a tiny little town to be there with these big shots.
It's really good.
Big city.
I know the Union City Police Chief went back there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
City. Yeah. They're a bit larger than we are.
Yeah.
Everybody's a bit larger than we are.
I don't know.
You know, yeah.
The batteries are good.
This way, Nora, but
Batteries
this
in it?
way,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
always.
Exactly.
Not always.
Okay, what do we got? 11 o'clock, guys?
We're gonna try and
Sounds
record if these batteries are dead on this one.
You have a TED battery? What is this
Yeah, here we go,
preparation
here
at
we go.
all?
There we go. Okay, we're good.
All right, Dante, call the meeting to order.
It is 11 o'clock and the public safety meeting is coming to order.
Let's have a roll call, starting with Caroline.
Carolyn Lair, City Manager.
Deborah Thomas, Bay Street for Overton Security.
Adrian Robinson, Emeryville Police.
Fred Dower, Emeryville Police.
Dante Diaz-Levy, Emeryville Police.
Nora Davis, City Council.
Ken Bukowski, photographer.
Teresa Pimani, resident and business owner.
Okay, you're up, Dr. Pimani. Why don't you close your small meeting today?
Okay.
I think everyone at the table, with the exception of Deborah, is aware of Dr. Pimani's problem. And this is on 59th Street between Hollis and Horton. We've had real problems with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, double parking and over parking over the 2 hours. So setting the framework for that, Dr. Pimani, if you want to add anything to that.
Well, I can't thank the two gentlemen, as well as Sergeant
Fred
Hannon.
Dower.
Fred Dower, yeah, and Dante. I really appreciate the work they did, and you especially, because it was immediate. So basically, I've been living and working in Emeryville, and my office is across the street from Amtrak station. And since they're close, two very close sites to my building for constructions of commercial real estate, then we are extremely suffering for parking space. One of it is on 59th Street, which is a public for guests to come and park over there. And what I have noticed and pointed out to the two gentlemen is Enterprise Parking has been using it for private usage. The entire space 24/7 from Monday through Sundays, day in and day out. And they have sometimes trucks there for days. And this has put a very negative impact on my business, to the point that my Emeryville residents decided to go to Oakland and Berkeley to seek chiropractic care, because it's much better parking over there than in our area. And in addition, Mr. Rich Robbins has raised the fee from $4 an hour to $7, and when I complained about it, they said they're very compatible to their regional areas. And I went online and find the busiest, which is a Civic Center, as well as Clay Street in downtown Oakland, Alston, downtown Berkeley, and they all charge no more than $2.50 per hour. And some of them, they also has $1 per court every 15 minutes. So you basically come out there no more than $4 in the busiest and most expensive areas in Berkeley and Oakland. But for my patients, I'm a chiropractor. They don't. My patients are sometimes they're only 15 minutes, and for them to pay $7 for parking is a little steep in my opinion. And not having the parking space has caused a lot of headaches for me. And it has gotten so bad that I reached out to the Wareham, and the lady, Danielle Spencer's comments was not very satisfying to me. Basically, she's saying, well, okay, we do something with the overflow, basically double and triple parking on a two-way street parking. They had, they have done it many times, and I've shown pictures of her to Nora. We just tell them to really park inside the garage. That still doesn't help me, because if it's a 2-hour parking and they use their spot for an hour and 59 minutes, assuming they can park 10 cars in that space, so every an hour and 59 minutes they move their cars, it still doesn't help me. And yesterday I went to grab lunch at Berkeley Bowl. I noticed one of the complaints I have is you can see with their SKU number. All the cars have a SKU number. And what I noticed, one of the cars that I sent pictures to you, that was from Arizona because of the license plate, they roll down the windows now, so you can't see the SKU number. So if the police officers drive around, they'll be like, well, it's the civilians. So I just don't want to waste my time and spend my time running and chasing and complaining to you guys, and I'm very grateful for it, but I don't want to bother you. See, 16 years I worked here, you guys didn't even know me. But for me to come and complain, it's just because it's causing a negative impact on my livelihood. And I just don't want to call you and just say, I'm sorry, Captain, I'm sorry, Lieutenant, they roll down their windows, I swear they really are there. So it's just, let's not get smart and sneaky about it. Let's just respect our community. It's almost like me tell my massage therapist, let's put your tables there and use the public area for my business. I can't do that. So they're using the public property for running their business. Wareham should be notified that they have to prove it to you guys that they have ample spaces for them to park. In addition, they cannot, under any circumstances, park on that street. If you have a SKU number, if you are a rental car, if you have another state license plate number, that's an indication you're a rental car company, and you cannot park in that zone. You have to have a
Ma'am,
different...
if you'd like to come sit down, are you here to be a part of the audience for the meeting?
For the safety meeting? Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Right here is great. Thank you.
So I just need them to have ample parking spaces for them, find better signage so that their guests know how to proceed to the parking lot, and have enough people to move the cars and have the cars move to the overflow parking spaces. That would be great help for me.
Dr. Pivani, you understand that the city, the police department has to work within the framework of the law.
Yes.
We can only do what we are entitled to do. So I think we're going to focus on that area, and that's my understanding, and we will try to correct some of this. But these other internal problems that you have with the Wareham Group and with Enterprise, that's kind of almost private company to private individual. And I'm not competent enough to advise you on what to do. If it were me, I would look very seriously at are they impacting my business, and is there a proven record of what they're doing, and is there some way I can get recompense in the court system? But I don't really know anything about that. So, but we will do what we can from the city side to correct as much as we can the problem.
I appreciate that.
One of the problems, of course, is this, the construction of the new
Yes.
transportation center and the new garage that's going to be built across from that.
Right.
But that's going to take at least 3 to 4 years. Does
Right.
not help you in the immediate situation. We'll do what we can. I feel sure the police back up
Yes.
that statement. But we thank you very much for speaking up, bringing it to our attention, because it not only impacts you, it impacts a lot of other people in those buildings.
Yes.
And it impacts people coming down Horton, turning right, and running into a bunch of double parked trucks and cars.
I personally was almost about to hit the double park car because
Oh,
I made it a
no
right
doubt
turn,
about
and I
it.
expect no cars to be in front of me, and I had to come to a halt because there were 2 cars parked in front of me. So as far as safety, yes. And I reached out to Wareham, but they kind of said that's a public area, you need to reach out to the city. So I followed their instructions, and hence what prompted me again that day, because I had another patient.
I'm glad Wareham said
Yes.
that, because it is indeed the public right of way, and we will try to administer
Yes.
it a little more tightly than we have in the past.
Thank
But
you.
thank you very much for coming. Where is the good old, moving along to the Alameda County Fire Department? Do we still have a fire department?
Yeah, I think somebody else was supposed to come in Dave's place.
Let's call the good old
to the
fire
meeting.
department. This is a very serious, it's one of the biggest expenses in the city, and for them not to even to show up at this meeting is reprehensible.
I think they were gonna send somebody else, so
That's
maybe.
not good enough,
Yeah,
Carolyn.
well, it is late, and it is late, so.
Well, in any event, we
We'll
don't want to have a
contact Dave.
meeting again without a fire
Sure.
individual. So, okay,
Do you have
on
this?
to the crime statistics, Adrian.
Good morning. We had 181 Part 1 crimes for July. This is just a small increase compared to the previous month, it's 8%. Year-to-date is 14%. When we look at our violent crimes, overall, they are up quite a bit, 67%, but that's due to our robberies. No significant patterns in our robberies, and at least half of those involved shoplifts where the person tried to complete the theft by force or fear. CVS and Target were the main stores that were affected. And so we had 12 robberies in July. 6 of those were shoplifts that went bad. And as far as carjackings, we had 2.
Where did they happen?
The carjackings, we had 1 attempt at Powell and Frontage. It was a guy who appeared to be mentally unstable, and he was in his own car, but he got out and tried to take another guy's car, but then he got in his car and took off, and the police went after him, and we detained him. Ended up taking him to the mental hospital for evaluation. After he was evaluated, he was then taken to jail. Then the other carjacking happened in Pack and Save's parking lot, where a guy approached an elderly male, a 78-year-old male, pulled a pair of scissors and pulled the guy out of his car, threw him on the ground, and took off in the guy's car. We did recover the car intact, and we did check the car for fingerprints. We lifted some prints. They're gone to the lab for analysis. We're just waiting to see if they belong to the suspect or the victim. And Detective Head and Costello ended up talking with the tow company to have them drop the storage fees, and they took the guy to get his car back.
Oh,
So-
that was a good story.
Yeah,
That was really good.
that was good community policing
Yeah.
right there.
It was.
So that's that regarding robberies. Assaults, they're up because our simple assaults are way up, and we had at least 6 of those were domestic violence related. You know, assaults are counted per victim, so we had a couple of reports that had more than 1 victim involved in the report. But as far as aggravated assaults, we had a domestic violence incident at 46th and Adeline, where a girl punched her ex-boyfriend and then hit him on the head with a rock. And apparently she might have been stalking him. So he's had some issues with this lady, and she did get away, we didn't get her. Then we had a road rage incident at 40th and Horton Street, where one driver got out of the car with a Coca-Cola bottle and hit the other driver on the cheek. The other driver's okay.
Adrian, let me stop you a minute, because we kind of sort of skipped over homicide. What about that guy who was found dead or something on the off-ramp of I-80? Does that count against us?
No.
No, that's
Caltrans?
CHP.
Oh, that's good.
We got that call at, I think, like 0300 hours, and they wanted to give it to us, CHP, and we said absolutely not.
That's good.
Yeah.
I don't think, he's not dead, right?
No, but he hasn't.
Oh, I
passed
thought
it
he
yet.
was killed.
No.
Oh, okay, sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Just want to make sure it wasn't on our ticket.
Yeah.
Okay, property crimes, overall, property crimes are down 1%. We had a couple of patterns as far as commercial burglary. We had no significant pattern, but we had a couple of places that was hit twice, like Navy Systems. They were hit twice, 2 different suspects. 1 suspect we did arrest. And then over at the high school, we had one of the buildings, the D building, I believe, that was burglarized twice. They smashed the glass window to the door. No loss on one case, but another case, they took a duffel bag that had a bunch of keyboards and calculators.
Do they have security over there?
They do now, and
But they didn't have it? Oh,
uh,
for God's sake.
so they do now.
And you guys are working with them?
Yeah, yeah, and they had so the loss in this case, one was actually, it was moved, and we actually found it on the stairs. They've been moved out of the building and onto the stairs, but they left it there. And the other one was a bag, a bag of, no, it wasn't very. Most of the expensive stuff they were not storing in there. I mean, they were at least keeping.
But they have security now?
They do have
And they
security.
intend to continue security in the future? If they haven't nailed that down, can we make that an issue on the next city school meeting? What are the plans for security for those buildings after closing hours? And are we having a
You
city?
mean after hours?
After hours?
After school hours, or?
Or we need a response, a written
Mhm.
response from the good old superintendent of schools on that. We are having a city school meeting next Thursday.
I think there is another one.
Okay.
Yeah, the 18th, yeah.
They ought to get on the ball and send out their agenda, but go ahead.
Okay, and as far as our residential burglaries, we had 3 apartment complexes where they had a unit burglarized where the suspect picked the lock, went inside, rummaged through, and took some items. At least one of those, there was no loss.
Which complexes?
It was Archstone, Bridgecourt, and the Courtyard Apartments on 65th and Alice, where that happened. And this also happened the month prior, so we have somebody that's going around doing something. I have to do an analysis on that to figure out the times of days of the week, the times of the day, so we can try to capture this person. And then we also had the Courtyard Apartments lose 2 bicycles. We did identify a suspect in that case, which also happened to be a homeless guy that we've had several contacts with. And as far as our petty thefts and grand thefts, we're down in those categories, but our auto thefts, let's see, we're down also. One thing that's significant to me regarding auto theft is there were no popular vehicles stolen this month. They're all various makes and models. Usually we see Honda Accords or Acura or something like that, you know, the vehicle of choice, but this time they're all different. We had 1 Honda Accord and it was recovered with minor stripping. All the other vehicles were also recovered in this. Mental illness, up 7%. We're just up by 1 compared to the previous month. Recovered vehicles, we've recovered more. Some of these vehicles were reported stolen by other law enforcement agencies. And suspicious incidents, these are incidents that are officer initiated. They involve people or vehicles, suspicious people or suspicious vehicles that are occupied or unoccupied. And we have an increase of 77%. And again, that's officer initiated activity. So that number could fluctuate from time to time. up or
Let's
down.
stop on that. They're having a big brouhaha about quote, suspicious incidents. Where is it, out in Antioch or someplace like that? They're saying that they have too many suspicious incidents. They're covering up actual crimes. Are we keeping absolutely squeaky clean on these suspicious incidents?
Mhm.
The officers have to give the disposition over the radio of what exactly occurred. So then it could be public record.
And it's put on our log.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just give me a brief range of what is categorized as a suspicious incident. Would the gunshot over on Park Avenue be considered a suspicious incident or a discharge of a weapon?
Discharge of a weapon.
So what would be a suspicious?
Suspicious might be something like you see 2 people in a parking lot looking at cars or something like that. Suspicious circumstances which might lead us to believe that we have to send an officer over there, and it might lead us to believe that there is a crime that either is about to occur, had occurred, and then the officer will go in there and take a look at it. If it's nothing, then it was just suspicious circumstance.
It might be a car in the middle of a parking lot when all the other cars have left with the windows rolled down. That's a popularly stolen car, like a Honda Accord.
So it doesn't rise to the level of a reportable crime.
Yeah, but they're looking for like they're checking to make sure it hasn't been reported stolen. So anytime an officer stops on a car like that, that would be a suspicious circumstance.
Or you may see two people in a vehicle at Emery Point at 1 a.m. in the morning and the windows are fogged up. We may check the car and check the welfare of the people.
And we still have a sign out at Emery Point that nobody's to be out there after a certain time?
Yes.
So that gives you the ability to cite if there's any cars out there?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we had, I'm going to skip over to part 2 crimes because we also want to report on these now as well. And we're down 24% compared to this time last year. And the 2 categories that are of significance is the offenses against family and children. We had 2 incidences there. One incident occurred at Target in which an adult female told her little girl to steal someone's backpack from a shopping cart. And then another incident occurred where we received a report from Kaiser Hospital, a mandated report that involved a patient from the Bayside Elderly Center. And I guess the guy fell out of his wheelchair. He was 83 years old. There was no foul play involved, and I guess he was trying to move his chair and somehow fell out. His daughter is very satisfied with the service that he receives there. So, but you know, they had to report it, the incident. So, and then we have the weapons carrying and possession. So we had one domestic violence case where a husband brandished a kitchen knife during an argument. And then we had the shots fired call on 48th Street, where 4 shots were fired, possibly in the air. At least that's what the witness seems to believe, the shots were fired in the air because she didn't hear any targets being hit. And she saw a white Toyota Camry leaving the scene at a high rate of speed. So that's all that's significant in that. And then Scott Donahue wanted me to do a graph on juvenile and adult arrests year to date, which I did from January to July, and compare to the previous year. And so we have a decrease of 25% year to date looking at adult arrests. It's really too many crimes to point out specifics but for adults, but a lot of our arrests involve petty theft or shoplifting. Juveniles, we have a decrease of 46% compared to this time last year.
Now, what do we attribute that to?
So if you look at 2015, we had high numbers. There were like 9 or 10 arrests, you know, in a couple of those months. Shoplifting for 2015. But in 2016, in February, we had 6 girls arrested over Bay Street, the Bay Street apartments. They were in the common hallway. They had caught the elevator up with 2 residents that were on their way home. And as they were walking down the hall, the 6 girls jumped the female and took her purse. We did arrest the girls and got the purse back. That was in February. That is on the February report of this year. And then in March, and all of those girls are from Oakland, the East End. And then in March, we had 4 males that got arrested for trying to snatch a woman's purse. They attempted a robbery, but they didn't complete it. They were arrested, and they're also from Oakland, but close to our border.
So what do we attribute this? This is a significant decline.
Right.
What do you say this is all about?
When you look at the number of arrests, particularly for petty theft, I mean, a lot of that is based on loss prevention's activity and whether or not they pursue prosecution. So we haven't been seeing as many reports coming from the shopping centers of them pursuing prosecution against the juveniles.
Deborah, what do you say? First off, how has the juvenile situation been this summer? Pretty much under control?
Yeah, it has been,
Good.
from the apartments on down to the outside. They have a separate contract, of course, they have an officer assigned to the apartments. Haven't had any issues. I think most of their issues internal are parking issues and some issues with their mailboxes. They did have some issues, but I think those are inside issues. I don't believe that's someone coming, it's either guests or residents or things like that. No issues with the pool this year. We haven't called PBR a lot. We're talking about the Main Street when the kids are getting ready to go back to school.
What kind of security do the apartments have? Or the condos? I mean,
They have Overton inside as well. It's
They
a
have
separate
Overton.
contract.
and you feel satisfied that you're doing a relatively good job?
I do. We haven't had to increase anything past what we normally increase for the summer. Years prior, we have seen a lot going on, and especially with the apartments, they tend to get in there for the swimming pool. Haven't had a lot of activity with that. Like I said, the most activity I've seen are the mailboxes where they had 2 separate incidents where they were broken into. And this is after the assigned officer. They only have 1 officer. It's not 24 hours. Bay Street officers assist with common areas as a tenant. But that officer is from 7 p.m. to 3 in the morning. So it looks like these people know that time frame, and that's when the mailboxes are getting hit in between that officer coming on duty or when they leave.
So, and you're still working very closely with the EPD?
I know Steve has been calling and speaking with EPD. He's a resident that's been there for a long time.
He's been calling, he's a resident, he's been calling why?
Well, he did call because I know the one incident happened. Each incident happened before their actual officer came on duty.
And I think he's trying to get the neighborhood program going.
The neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
They just have
Last
a.
name? I think we've
Is
talked.
it Vanderbilt? It's what it be? I know he always emails with the wife Mary as well.
Yeah,
He's
come
been
to
there for
public
about
safety.
7 years.
He's been there a
And
while.
Yeah.
The city council meeting also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very involved.
And you're getting ready for the grand opening of the hotel when?
I believe that's set for somewhere in mid-September.
Pretty
Don't have an
exciting.
actual date, but yeah, mid-September. Along with some other exciting stuff on Bay Street too. So, a lot of construction work. A lot of construction as well as public markets, so we're kind of in that boat where there's a lot of construction. I know the Christie widening project is causing some backup, so we're hoping to wrap that up soon, vehicle-wise.
On the drug violations, are these happening citywide, or are they concentrated in a particular area?
They're in different areas of the city.
It's all over the
And it's
city.
either possession of some substance or something like that.
Is this primarily meth in your urine, or is it marijuana?
We've had some meth.
Yeah.
You know, because the change is coming with marijuana, we all have to get ready for that. And on the drunkenness, is that concentrated around San Pablo Avenue?
Yes.
The arrest on that?
Yeah, that was a drunken public. There's only
Black and white.
There's only one, yeah, so it was 1 for July.
Yeah, one. We only had one.
Yeah. Why do I see 10?
That was last year.
That was last year.
Oh, that-
July last year.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So that's pretty much all.
So, and on this 36 misdemeanors, these are just, you cite them and they cite out. Is that what happens?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just over and over again, repetitive. And of these 36, how many are repeat offenders? Do
We
we?
had 2 repeat offenders this month.
Only 2?
Mm-hmm. And some of these misdemeanors include the 5150s. That's just how our computer system
Yeah.
captures it. So for 5150s, we had 16. So 16 of these 36 involved 5150s.
So I hate to tell you guys, but that says to me, we have a full ocean of bad actors that continue to wash through the town. It's not like, you know, we have a few that are over and over again, but the most of it is just, it's like it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
So you have job security. It looks like to me. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. That's very well done. And
Nora, just to let you know, we do have a member of the public in addition who would like to speak when
oh,
you decide to resume
this is a
public
break.
comment.
Come up to the table. But, thanks for coming, Dr. Pimani. Thank you, Carolyn. How can we help you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Marnika Shelton, and I've worked in Emeryville for about 10 years now. About 3 weeks ago, I was in a traffic accident at the corner of 45th and Hollis. It's at that four-way stop intersection. And when I arrived at the intersection, there weren't any other cars, and as I entered, a car sped in front of me and caused a collision in the intersection. The gentlemen were from out of the country, and they didn't see the sign. So it was a kind of a moment where I understand, you know, you're not from around here, it's an unfamiliar area, but as I began to talk with more individuals, it became very clear that this is a dangerous intersection.
40th and Hollis?
45th and Hollis.
45th and Hollis.
Yes, by the PG&E building, behind Pixar there.
A four-way stop.
Yes, yes. The way that the collision occurred and the report was written, I was found at fault. And so it's created a huge issue in my personal life. But in terms of the city, I'm really concerned for people's welfare and safety at that intersection. A number of people have talked about being almost hit or clipped. I've seen a number of cars run that sign. And I'm really here to ask and see what's happening in terms of the safety at that intersection. A lot of youth walk by there. It's near the high school. I find myself wanting to know that, you know, like that this can hopefully end. Like I said, the gentlemen weren't from the country, so the fact that they didn't see the sign isn't surprising to me, but the fact that it's so common, what I found out, it's so common, I'm frightened. So that is what I brought before you this morning. I'm curious.
I think what we have to do is take a look at that intersection and see how many accidents we've had in the last 4 years. And we thank you very much for bringing it to our attention. I think a lot of times you get anecdotal information, but we'll try to take a period of time as to how many accidents have occurred there. To my knowledge, I can't remember any fatal accident or injury accident, but we'll check into it and look at it. And we thank you very much for bringing it to our attention. Who do you work for?
I work with Scott Donahue and Therese LaHaye at the co-op over there, and I've worked with the elementary school.
Oh,
before as well.
wonderful. Well, we're glad you came, and we're sorry Scott's not here today to work with you.
Yeah,
Thanks
you.
for coming. Okay, greetings. Very good. Do you want to give the fire department report?
Sure. So I'm Captain Bernard. I'm here for in place of Chief Winnaker, who's on military leave right now. And this was just kind of given to me a little bit ago. Can I hand these out?
Sure.
I'm not sure exactly. I imagine you guys have been here before, so. So I'll start with our total emergency incidents, 174 in July. Building fires under $5,000, we had 1. Building fires over 5,000, we had 1. Outside fires, 4. Vehicle fires, 4. Hazmat calls, 0. False alarms, 43. investigations 3, service calls 10, emergency medical calls 140. Those are divided up. Station 34 had 58 calls, 35 had 82 calls. Station 34 covers areas west of the Southern Pacific Railroad tracks, and Station 5 covers areas east of the railroad tracks, including San Pablo and the Triangle area. There's a caveat to that. We, fire department instituted what we call AVL, which is automatic vehicle locator. So it'll now send, regardless of district, it sends the closest unit to that call. So. Significant incidents, July 6th, as you all know, we had a multi-alarm fire at San Pablo and Adeline. And you guys all know about that large commercial or multi-story building under construction that was fully involved on arrival. And defensive tactics were initiated, which basically means that whatever was on fire is kind of history when you got there. So they're going to move to defensive tactics, which is to protect things that have not burned yet. Eventually it reached 6 alarms. That's all I have.
You point out the cause of it?
Pardon me?
The cause of the fire?
I'm not sure the cause of the fire. It was investigated by Alameda County Fire in conjunction with the ATF. So, but that has not been released to me
They're still
yet.
investigating, right?
I am not sure. I know the ATF is okay. Yeah, I know ATF has wrapped it up.
And is this $20 million total loss, is that an accurate figure? Or is it a kind of guesstimate?
I do not know how those numbers came up, but any questions, I'm happy to forward those to Chief Winokur if you'd like.
I would like Chief Winokur to address how they arrived at the $20 million figure. And perhaps you can answer this. Does this affect our insurance rating at all, a big fire like that in a small town? $20 million, a big figure.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to answer that. I know that, as far as my knowledge, what does affect insurance ratings is our ISO rating, and that's just they come to that. They come to that with based on how many people you can get to a fire, how quick you can get that many people to a fire, and what they arrive with. It's kind of like how many bodies you can throw at it and how many gallons per minute can you throw at it.
So our ISO must be off the charts, given the response you guys had.
No, that shouldn't affect ISO at all. That's kind of done separate from any kind of incidents.
An ISO is a study that's done, I think it's every couple years, and it's just citywide, looking at all of our resources, not a particular incident, but it would still have to be off the charts.
Citywide resources, we want to pay particular attention to this because these insurance rates are critical to this city. ISO should take into consideration the fact that we have Alameda County Fire and we have these agreements with the other jurisdictions so that when we have a big fire like we had, that you can really pull in a lot of resources. And I don't think that's reflected in our present ISO report. So if you can ask Dave to, at the next meeting, we'd like to have a report on what our ISO is, how they determine it, and how we can improve it. Because as we move forward and this city becomes more dense, that ISO is going to become critical because it appears on the surface of it, you know, you only have 2 stations here. And actually we have much more. We have a fire boat.
I think the ISO is a statewide department or agency that conducts that,
Well,
right?
it's statewide,
Yeah.
but you have to start pulling this thread someplace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate the
You're
report.
welcome. Any other
And,
questions I can bring to Chief Winokur?
Any other questions for fire? Okay, moving on to overtime, Dante.
So I'm happy to say that we spent a little over $28,000 less than we did for June, despite the fire. One planned event was the 4th of July, so that was a significant overtime for us, and then the fire was significant overtime. Little over $10,000. That was the biggest category for us. We spent a lot less this month on backfilling for the positions.
Good.
Yeah, so like I said last month, June is a huge vacation, people going out on maternity leave. It was big for us. So yeah, happy to say we spent less this month.
So how'd you end up the year
On
overtime?
I don't have those numbers. I can get them. I think for every month, comparatively from last year, we've been down. We have spent less.
Well, I think that's the impact of hiring the new officers. I hope we continue. Okay, future agenda items. We will ask fire to bring a brief summary of the ISO and if there's anything we can do to approve it. And Dr. Paimani brought up this problem of the parking and the enforcing of the parking. Then we have another guy in another one of Wareham's buildings is complaining about the residential parking permit. He was complaining about the increase in fees, which is kind of amusing to me because it's a use of public space that has become increasingly valuable. But it still comes back to, we have these permits out there, they're very limited, 61st and 62nd, and then where else do we have them, Ken? We took the ones off of Beaudry.
Right. That's it.
So, we don't really have a lot of residential permit parking, but we should really be taking another look at that because the conditions that existed when we put those in have changed substantially. These are supposed to be residential parking permits. The person who's complaining is a business owner. And we have lots of business owners in town. So why are we giving one business owner advantage over another? So can we have a discussion of that next week? Next month.
That would probably be Public Works Transportation Committee.
Well, the real issue here is we have these parking permits, but they are not enforced. I mean, let's face it, we just don't, at the present time, and for the past 5 or 8 years, we haven't had the resources to really have a parking person go around, in a consistent basis. So I'm saying, yes, we should put it on the Transportation Committee, but we should also address what can the EP do now, and if they don't have the resources, we should tell the people that. So, okay, that's all I have for the future agenda items. And, on member comments, what's going on down at 36 in Peralta? Any new happenings there? Oakland clearing up those tents?
As of last week, and as I was driving around, it was still the same. It looks like a campground.
That's a real public health issue. But that's Oakland and Caltrans. Unfortunately, it impacts our resources in this city and our residents in this city.
Yeah, it's across the street from Ambassador, starting at south of 36th, on both sides, that little island between Magnolia and Peralta, and then under the freeway there, starting from the extension of 36th Street south, that whole area under the overpass there was filled.
I think we have to watch out also, so they're going to go someplace when Oakland does something to it. So we don't want them coming further north. It's in Oakland right now.
Well, we've got to keep our eyes open. What about Oak Street, south of the 40th Street Bridge? There's all those encampments on there.
So far, they've kept them south. Yeah.
They're not encroaching over the line into our soon-to-be dog park.
Yeah, the officers have been doing, I mean, they do increased enforcement over there, and if they see somebody setting up camp, they've been taking care of it. So the camps that are out there right now on Wood Street, they're all basically south of the maze and south of Target.
Very, very
You know,
difficult.
I had a question. Alliance Meadow still closing at the end of August?
I'll tell you, I think that's up in the air because there is a lot of political pressure since that documentary came
Yeah.
out about the cart people.
Right.
There's a lot of pressure on Oakland council members to keep the Alliance open.
Okay,
In fact, I think there's going to be a lawsuit to keep it open.
okay.
But we'll see what happens. Okay, anybody have anything else? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, one and
Nora, I'm
all.
sorry.
Very nice to meet you.
My
Glad you
pleasure,
were down.
my pleasure.
Nora, I'm sorry, one other thing, the approval of the July minutes.
Oh, minutes are approved. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent.